YSC in Freetown. Well, this morning to discuss this, we have been joined in the studio by Fodeba Daboh from the local content agency. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Fodeba.
Good morning, listeners. Thanks for having me.
Fodeba, the local content policy is a good thing. We'll get to look into that and what the Minister of Trade said earlier. But let's talk about the plans for Friday.
Okay. Basically, Friday, the event is the National Buyer and Seller Meet. Basically, like you rightly pointed out in your opening, is to showcase what Sierra Leone has to offer. For far too long, the story, the narrative has been, oh, we are not procuring from local suppliers because their goods are not up to standard. But Friday will definitely change that story.
How does the Friday event change that story?
Because for us as at the agency, yes, key mandate for us is to ensure our local enterprises thrive. So what we've been doing is to ensure that our local suppliers up their game. Basically, Friday is about improved productivity. Friday is about ensuring that they are able to meet standards and quality management, if you will. So basically, Friday is to ensure we create that platform wherein buyers and sellers will meet. If you talk to local producers, they will tell you, okay, we are doing all this great, fantastic work all over the country, but we don't have the markets. So Friday is to give them that unique opportunity wherein sellers all over across Sierra Leone will come and showcase what they have to offer to the general public. And the general public here doesn't only limit to our local Sierra Leoneans, the foreign dignitaries, all officials, senior government officials will be there, our diplomats in country, because, you know, based on some of the studies we've done within the local content, it's evidently clear that up until today, most of these expatriates working in country are bringing, are importing things that Sierra Leoneans here have to offer. Okay. So basically, we want to change that narrative, and Friday is such one of such platform that will definitely do that.
And for the bus, you've rightly mentioned, seeing a situation wherein our own made in Sierra Leone proceeds or products, though up their game is something we all hope to see. But it needs to no emphasis to state that Sierra Leone is one of the wealthiest countries in terms of marketable natural resources. But as we speak, we remain amongst the 10 poorest countries in the world. But then, where does the local content agency comes in to at least ensure that the narratives then change?
Absolutely. If I go back to where all of this started, in 2012, the local content policy was developed at a policy level, which seek to achieve clear mandates to ensure there's a sufficient linkage between foreign direct investment coming in country and that of our local economy. But that hasn't been the case. So that's the reason with a strategic move by the government, they thought it wise and fit that, okay, policies are just policy. They, as people will always say, they don't have teeth to bite. So they decided to say, now we need to pass it into an act. So like you rightly mentioned, in 2016, we do not have policy any longer. I know people, when they talk about local content, they tend to think, okay, we have a policy here in Sierra Leone, but really we do have an act with clear provisions, with clear offenses and penalties should you flout those laws. So yes, that's why that act of 2016 now gave us the mandates as an agency to ensure that we implement those provisions within the act. To your point, yes. In the past, the narrative has not translated, the whole issue about, okay, the World Bank report saying Sierra Leone economy is at the double digits. But if you talk to the ordinary man down there, they will say, no, I mean, this has not been impacting us. So we think there's no better way to start, but to ensure that we ensure that our local enterprises thrive. And one way is if you create markets for the people, like if you go up country, one thing local content we've achieved is to do what we call popularization of the local content. We've visited all districts within this country, listen to the people's cry. They will tell you, well, yeah, the laws are there. For the laws to be there is one thing, but for it to be enforced is another. We have our products here, but nobody to buy them. So this event will change that.
Then, Fodeba, just as Fabian Swill mentioned earlier on, having the local content agency is, of course, very much keen and paramount at this particular moment. But with the event that the agency is planning on bringing up on Friday, do you see the required political will to ensure that the local content agency performs its duties and responsibilities?
Absolutely. The political will is there. As a matter of fact, I mean, this has been a policy statement by then candidate, who is now His Excellency Brigadier Julius Maada Bio. He was clear of the fact that one thing he seeks to achieve is to ensure our local enterprises are being strengthened. State's opening of Parliament, if I refer to paragraph 47, he was clear that local content is here to thrive. Local content is here to stay in ensuring that first consideration is given to Sierra Leoneans in terms of employment, capacity development, procurement, tender processes, and to ensure we capacitate our local enterprises. So, and again, you mentioned in your opening about the whole issue about come November 1st. That's a policy coming from the Honorable Minister of Trade that effective November 1st, all supermarkets here in Sierra Leone should and must ensure that there is a shelf just for locally produced goods and services here in Sierra Leone. And I mean, I would tell you with certainty that that has been ongoing. I mean, we've been engaging them, and come November 1st, AYV, feel free, go out there and check out if there is not a supermarket with a shelf just for Sierra Leonean made in Sierra Leone products.
Fodeba, the aspect of local content cuts across various sectors in the country. It goes from the employing local citizens and beyond. Now let's focus on the manufactured goods in Sierra Leone, with particular reference to the statement made by the minister displaying local content at the shelves of supermarkets. Packaging has been a key thing. You can display it, but you cannot force people, that includes Sierra Leoneans and non-Sierra Leoneans, to purchase it. And a lot of times when you talk to people, they're about packaging, something that some of our African countries are getting right, that somehow we are not getting right.
Absolutely.
What's the area you're playing in that aspect of packaging? What role are you playing? Or if there's going to be any activity on that on Friday, packaging?
Yeah, in order for you to know that for us at the agency, we are really on top of the game. We are collaborating across the board in ensuring that we work closely with some key agencies that do have mandates when it talks about quality standard and management, like the Sierra Leone Standards Bureau, packaging and labeling issues from Sleeper, if you will. 2 weeks ago, I mean, considering that this event will be coming, what we did is we provided training to local businesses wherein they were called in, and we trained them on 3 key components: the issue of packaging and labeling, like you rightly mentioned, quality standard and management, and also it goes beyond things like contracting. I mean, yes, definitely we still have those challenges. Talking to them, they don't even know how to put together a simple bidding contracts paperwork, in ensuring that procurements, they are in competition with other organizations. So yes, all of those people that are going to be there, the participants, those local suppliers, have been trained in ensuring that they meet the standard. Because for us, it's not only about Sierra Leone. We should be also, as much as we are saying, okay, we have these laws, to be implemented, we should be asking ourselves as a people, as a nation, are we up to the task? So that's what we've been telling most of these local suppliers. So you need to up your game. And it will interest you to know that what I saw during even the training is amazing. Some of them came prepared. They displayed their products. In terms of packaging and labeling, they met those standards, So, if you go on Friday, I believe you will see much more. And so, yes, we are definitely on top of the game in ensuring that they meet those standards, because it's all about ensuring that we meet standards beyond Sierra Leone, if you will.
Okay, well, let me take it from there, meeting the standards. Now we know the issue of packaging, just as Fabian's will mentioned, it has to do with value addition, for which I'm very much worried, and Sierra Leoneans will at least attest to the fact that the bureau, the standards bureau we have in the country, is not of the standard as compared to other bureaus across the sub-region. So what standard is our bureau to at least ensure that the produce or the proceeds that we're talking of meets the required standards?
Yeah, one thing I know, just maybe a couple of weeks ago, we had a press conference at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, wherein AYV was also represented, chaired by the Honorable Minister. The new director of the Standards Bureau, Professor Yoma, was there, and he also, on the other hand, he has been just appointed. He highlights the challenges, but made it clear that it's not going to be business as usual, and that based on his experience, and he's going to ensure that standards are met. They are on top of that, and part of that training that I just told you about, he sent in someone from their agency, their bureau, just to come, give talk on when we're talking about quality standard and management. This is what is obtained. This is what is required, even beyond Sierra Leone. Because we're not looking at, when you talk about local content, it goes beyond Sierra Leone. Local content is everywhere. Yeah. If you're following the whole issue about the United States, Donald Trump putting Sierra Leone first, that's what local content is about. Ensuring that the whole issue about the rift between the United States and China, the business war, if you will, it's about local content. So I see no reason why for us here in Sierra Leone, we cannot make that a priority in ensuring that.
And that's the case, as you've rightly mentioned, in other countries. But in Sierra Leone particularly, where without stereotyping, people always say Sierra Leoneans always prefer things made by other people instead of things made by Sierra Leoneans. Yeah. And when you look at the composition of the market, it's flooded with a stiff competition for our local content producers. There's a lot of options in the market. What more can we do as a country to help the people who produce things in Sierra Leone?
Yeah, first of all, what I know, because before now, I used to be the policy advisor and analyst within the agency. At that time, it was just a unit. Part of my job is to look at existing local contents, not even far, but within our sub-region here, and replicate them here in Sierra Leone. What I find out, it starts with us. Us as a people, being nationalistic, being patriotic, in ensuring that we have love for one another, So it's about just ensuring that, you put this country first, you put Sierra Leone first, you ensure that what you're wearing, what you're eating is being grown here in Sierra Leone. You know, like we have this phrase within the Made in Sierra Leone concept that eat what you grow, grow what you eat. You know, so it's about mindset. It's about people accepting that this is the only Sierra Leone that we have. We have nowhere else to go. And in order for Sierra Leone to thrive, it has to start with us as Sierra Leonean.
Well, taking a close look at the intro, we mentioned something having to do with the Finance Act 2016-17 and that of 18. Of what impact is that act to our local process in the country, particularly Sodeba?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has an impact because part of it is also making provision in ensuring that, say, for instance, in terms of employment, the Finance Act will tell you if you hire local Sierra Leoneans as an industry here, you know, you'll have, I mean, concessions in terms of your tax obligations and things of that sort. More importantly here, the issue of our gender empowerment, women's empowerment. If you ensure that women are being served at the managerial level within companies, your tax bracket is different from those that are not meeting those obligations. I know it's a work in progress. I cannot sit here and tell you all is right. We do have our challenges as a country, not only for local content, but I am positive that we will get there together.
Pardon me to cut you there. With the local content, you took us to an important aspect in terms of employment, employing local citizens. Yeah. But the thing has always been, when you talk to people, people come here, they employ foreigners for the same position and pay them $5,000 or more. But then, going by local content, they will claim, now they employ Sierra Leoneans for the same position with a very low amount. So the same position you were paying a foreigner $5,000, now you have a Sierra Leonean almost equally qualified, in some cases equally qualified, but then you're paying the person about $500. That disparity, what role are you playing in that regard to ensure that citizens, Sierra Leonean citizens, get treated fairly as they treat foreigners who come?
Absolutely. I just mentioned here one key provision for us is to ensure we give first consideration to Sierra Leoneans as long as they have the requisite skills.
But how well has that been demonstrated?
I know. Again, you know, when local content, the Act was established in 2016, right in the middle of the year. I mean, we were posed with many challenges in terms of operations, but I will tell you authoritatively that we are now, you know, the political will is there, which has been a challenge.
But are you looking into those cases? Because people come up with those complaints.
Absolutely. You cannot talk about local content without employment, and that's in itself is not fair. I mean, I see no reason why, if Sierra Leoneans have the requisite skills and experience, you know, will not be hired. That's why the Act now,
again, Fodeba, just to modify it again, it's not the aspect of employing Sierra Leoneans. It's saying let's use you as an example, you're occupying that office. Let's say you are a foreigner. Your institution is paying you $5,000. Now I get to also occupy your office with the same qualification, and they begin to pay me $500 for the same position they were paying you, a foreigner, $5,000. Is the Sierra Leone Local Content Agency looking into all those things? Are you monitoring?
We are monitoring. As a matter of fact, it's another key component, key aspect of our work. That's why, if you follow the news, just last week, we trained these very companies, foreign direct investment companies here in Sierra Leone, on what we call our scorecard reporting portal. You know, that in itself is there to capture companies' performances on the local content. And key to that is the issue you're talking about. I mean, now it's not about going out there in their faces. And now, as per the Act, they are required to report on their local content and on key issues like employment, capacity development, and procurement. So yes, monitoring is huge, And we know that has always been a challenge, but definitely with this new online portal that has been established, developed, that's something we will catch and ensure that it's strictly implemented and ensure that that doesn't be the case in the future. But yes, I will agree that it has always been a challenge. One part of our function is to investigate and listen to complaints of locals, and they have been coming to our office with things of that sort. It's definitely not acceptable, and that's something we intend to change.
Then, just after the enactment of the local content, the law, the act, we saw releases and we saw statements coming up from the former government, more so when it comes to our local proceeds, particularly so in the water, the sachet water, or perhaps the bottled water. There was a law, saying that, now on meetings on bigger occasions organized by government will stop seeing the use of, foreign, or imported bottled waters in those occasions. But for which, up till as we speak, we have bigger occasions coming up, for which we do see, the influx of these foreign waters, as opposed to, like, particularly Sierra water, and so to speak.
Yeah. Absolutely, that should not be the case, and it should not. I'll give you an example. Our experience. We, at some point back then, we held a training at the hub, Wilberforce, and we were sitting. The water that has been served, it's from overseas. We were like, no, this is
and
local
you guys
content
were talking
we are
local
talking about here. We cannot be talking about local content and we've been seen doing something else. So we said no. We ensure that the training was put on hold, and we were served the grafting. So yes, our monitoring team are on top of the game. We are aware that things of this sort that you just mentioned is happening, but trust me, it's not going to be business as usual. The political will is there. The Honorable Minister is serious about this. By extension, His Excellency the President, he is here to ensure that our local services, our local goods and services, take the center stage. And that's what the National Buyers and Sellers Meet on Friday seek to achieve.
Okay, now to this, the ceremony that we hope to see on Friday. How well will this ceremony promote national prosperity and, of course, an efficient, dynamic, and self-reliant economy?
Okay. The National Buyer and Seller Meet is from the concept of the Made in Sierra Leone, which now is a policy developed from the Ministry of Finance in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade. The idea here is to ensure that we create that platform. That's why we at the agency, we see ourselves as matchmakers. Some of these buyers cannot go directly to the sellers. They don't even know the market. So that's what we are there to create. And that's what Friday is about, to ensure the juice producer in Kenema, Sierra Juice, for instance, is being given the opportunity for the U.S. ambassador in Freetown to buy from him, as opposed to, juice being imported from the United States or elsewhere, because this is a policy. This is what Sierra Leone and Sierra Leonean government want to ensure it happens. So yes, Friday will definitely change the narratives, and will tell you we've been in constant engagement with all of the National Supermarkets Association, at least their executive, just to ensure that the Made in Sierra Leone concept is being promoted. And they have been working with us assiduously in ensuring that come November 1st, all supermarkets here in Sierra Leone must display a shelf for Sierra Leonean, made in Sierra Leone products.
Now, the promotion of local content takes a lot of work. It's not a day's job, so definitely. And it requires a lot of participation and partnership with several other institutions, organizations, and individuals. So far, with your agency, what has been the working relationship between your institution and other related institutions and individuals in the promotion of local content?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes, that's why the difference between our local content here and take Nigeria or Ghana, for example, for them is only sector specific because it's all about oil and gas. For us, it goes beyond, like you might rightly mention, it cuts across all sectors of the economy. You know, the issue of diversification. We've seen where boom left us. So we've learned from that. That's why now the priority sector areas for us, the tourism sector, the marine, you know, agriculture, manufacturing, as the case may be, talking about mutual partnership and collaboration, the National Mineral Agency, for instance, because local content has a lot of mining implications, you know, as the case may be. We are working on our natural resources. We have MOU with them, like the EPA, the NMA, and many other key agencies. We were clear about our roles and responsibilities. Key to that is to ensure we undertake joint monitorings where there's local content implications. We are there to ensure. I mean, let us don't forget, this is like any other agency with clear mandates. As a matter of fact, one part of our mandate is to ensure we issue a certificate of authorization to those FDI coming in country. If they don't submit their local content plan, the plan about local content is you should be able to tell us what are you doing in terms of your employment, hiring Sierra Leoneans, building their capacity. You know, there is so much about, you cannot talk about local content without skills transfer. We are aware that when you talk about skills, I mean, let's face the facts, Sierra Leoneans cannot compete with very many other countries out there. So that's why the law says, yes, first consideration to Sierra Leoneans, except and until you can find that skills locally here, then you can source the skills from out. But when that expatriate is here, Sierra Leoneans must understudy that expatriate to ensure they transfer skills within 3 to 5 years. So that's local Sierra Leoneans to take that position. So yes, we are definitely working collaboratively with other agencies to ensure that we achieve the local content concept.
But I tell you, Fodeba, you know, I don't normally make use of the Sierra juice, the Sierra water. Phoebe.
That's actually our favorite drink here at AYV.
Yes,
I like it too.
Yeah. So now, who are we expecting, or perhaps what are the key bodies that we expected to see on Friday to be part from this?
Up until yesterday, I can tell you, we've had over hundreds of registered businesses. Because what we did, I mean, we want to ensure there's some structure in place. We didn't just leave it out there to informal businesses. Because think about it this way, okay? Our mandate is to empower businesses. We don't want to hear the story of, oh, you know what, I have my business done King Jimmy, but I'm not registered. No, the registration form that they will complete in our office when they come specifically captures, is your business registered? When did you register? Proof of registration. You should be ready to give us a business registration certificate, because that's what this is about. We're talking about the quality standard and management. We don't want to matchmake businesses that are just not up to this task. So yes, we have over hundreds of locally produced goods and services business cut across, starting from food and beverages. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, Wednesday, we are going to ensure that we call all of them into a meeting at the venue, YSC, wherein we would apportion them. If you are coming here with food and beverages, this is the end of YSC you should be. Things like clothing and textile, because that's another thing. When people talk about local businesses, they think it's just about food. No, clothing and textile. That's another sector. Things about
Furnitures.
Furnitures, design, another sector. Carpentry, another sector. Our ICT, another sector, like the Sierra Leone, the Africell, the Orange, as the case may be. So many other sectors, we've put them into various sectors based on, but because part of the form, you should be able to tell us what's the nature of your business. So yes.
You spoke about matchmaking shortly. What's this matchmaking you're going to be doing tomorrow on Friday?
Okay, matchmaking basically is the buyer and seller meet. The cereal juice in Kenema doesn't know where the market is, even though Africell is one of the biggest promoters, but we want to ensure that it goes beyond Africell. Like I pointed out, we want to make sure the Irish ambassador here in Sierra Leone is aware that there is a cereal juice.
So you're matching product with consumer.
That's the point, basically.
Okay, as we wrap up your segment, you spoke about challenges earlier on. Kindly take us through some of these challenges that are prohibiting the success of your work in the country.
Definitely, I would tell you, we do have challenges. We do have challenges with staffing. Of course, currently we only have a staff size of 10 people. You cannot talk about local content Sierra Leone at a national platform with only 10 people. I mean, we can't be everywhere at the same time. We have, as per the mandate, we have like 5 different directorates, which shall be manned with officers, as the case may be, but that's not.
Just to clarify, as you say that, do we have the presence of the Sierra Leone Local Content Agency in other parts of Sierra Leone? Because definitely Freetown is not the only place.
Absolutely. No, as I speak right now.
So your activities are in Freetown?
Currently, that's correct. But yeah, we do take local content, like I mentioned before, on a nationwide tour, but it's definitely not enough. We want to ensure, our vision for local content is to ensure when you go to McKinney, you meet a local content office there in ensuring that they are looking at, because I will tell you, I'll give an example. They just concluded budget hearing after our presentation. One of the civil societies stood up and said, having listened to you guys, you're doing a fantastic job. I think government need to capacitate, specifically the Ministry of Finance, need to ensure that they up our budget. We have lots of challenges when it comes to, we've not even, sometimes it goes year round, we don't have access to our subvention. They will tell you, okay, this is what local content is due, but trust me, I mean, I cannot sit here and make it sound like all is glory. We do have challenges, but I am confident that those challenges will be overtaken. I mean, we are working closely with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that, I mean, they capacitate us. We want to do our jobs as much as any other agency, but the challenges are still there.
And it's indeed so sad to note that, we talk of local content, agency, and the agency is not even in the provinces. Where are these products and proceeds are coming from?
And let me tell you, just if I could take you back, local content since inception, back then, it will be interesting to know that it was funded by DFID at some point. That for me is the mismatch. You cannot be talking about local content and then it's being funded by
outside source.
So not until 2016 they pulled out. So technically, local content, it should be a government-driven program. So yes, we are calling on government to ensure that, they give us all the necessary support that we need with specificity of finances in ensuring that we take local content to the last district or town and village here.
Fodeba, definitely would get your agency here in subsequent editions of our various programs on AYV. But before we let you go, who are the people that are allowed to attend Friday's event?
Okay. Thanks
and
for
are they going
that.
to pay?
Nope.
That's another thing.
It's free. It's even free for even the participants whom will be given apportioned areas, tables or booths, if you like. It's free because, you see, we
At what time is the event?
At 8 a.m. all throughout the evening, 8 to 9 p.m.
Is it open to the general public?
Yes, it is open to the general public. It is open to the general public because that's the whole point.
Okay.
We want to make sure, we don't only send invitations to senior government officials, dignitaries, as the case may be, but yes, it is open to the general public and it's free, no gate taken.
Okay.
So come there on Friday and ensure you be part of local content that have the potential in ensuring economic growth and development for Sierra Leone. Smith.
Yeah, well, of course, he's Fodeba Daboh, and he's the Director of Skills Development and Training at the Local Content Agency. And it's a pleasure having you this morning.
Same here.
But of course, you're still watching Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV television, channel 33 and the radio on 101.6 FM. Keep sending us your thoughts.